Ladies and gentlemen, this is your WWE SmackDown review on Friday, April 23rd, 2021. I am Joseph Conlon here on the Big Fight Field channel. I thank you all for joining me here tonight to talk about SmackDown. What a show, man. That show tonight was really good. That was a really good episode of SmackDown. It flew by very nicely. The 2 hours went by quick. Last week was a decent show after WrestleMania. Tonight, we got a lot of moving parts that I'm really interested in. Roman Reigns and the Universal Championship. We had Apollo Crews defend the Intercontinental Championship against Kevin Owens. We have Bayley versus Bianca Belair set for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania Backlash. And boy, oh boy, he has been found. Yes, I'm talking about Alistair Black. The rumors were true. He is back on WWE television, and he had a video package tonight. We're going to talk about what happened with Aleister Black tonight in the video package and where I think this could all be going. So we got a lot to talk about tonight. This was a really good show. Honestly, this was the best episode of SmackDown since the Christmas episode where Kevin Owens fought Roman Reigns in a steel cage match for the Universal Championship, and Sami Zayn lost the Intercontinental Championship to Big E. So, we got lots to talk about tonight. I thank you for joining me once again. Let me promote my reviews from this week if I didn't do already. If you haven't done so already, be sure to go to check out my Monday Night Raw review from last Monday. We got Raw, we got NXT, we got AEW. Go check all three of those reviews, which are up on the channel right now. After this, of course. So if you haven't been able to check out those reviews yet, make sure you go check them out. Let's dive into tonight's SmackDown. So the show started when Cesaro was standing in the middle of the ring, and before he could say a word, Seth Rollins' music hit, and he came out. And he was like, I just wanted to come out here and tell you congratulations that you have reached your potential all because of me, where you started down here and I brung you all the way up here. I never got a thanks. I never got a thank you from you. So that's what I want to hear right now. And then Cesaro was talking smack back to Seth Rollins. And then Rollins was like, I'm going to reiterate what I said last week again to you. Nothing is over until I say it's over. So then Jey Uso comes out and he's like, you want to step up to the head of the table and you want to step up to the champion, we're going to lay you down. You can't beat me. You can't beat Seth Rollins again. And you damn sure can't beat Roman Reigns. We all know that. So then Daniel Bryan comes out. Uso and Seth Rollins are about to go attack Cesaro. Rollins is on one side of the ring. Uso is on the other side. And then Daniel Bryan comes out. And he comes in. He's like, I'm here. Let me figure this out. Cesaro is here because he wants a Universal Championship match. Seth Rollins is here because he's trying to take out Cesaro. Jey Uso is here because Roman Reigns sent him out for some reason. And then I'm here to say that I agree with Cesaro and he should be the Universal Champion. And then he was talking about how Roman Reigns every time... Oh, no, that was after the match, I think. After the match, they had a tag team match. So then, before the match, Roman Reigns came out and he says, you guys are a bunch of losers. Daniel Bryan, you're a low-life loser. I stacked you. You on the bottom. and I pinned you. I love, by the way, how he did the smash him, stack him, and pin him. He made that a shirt now. He's got so much shirts. His show up and win, head of the table, acknowledge me. He's got so many shirts now. Probably the top seller on WWE Shop. I don't know at this point. But I love that he made that a shirt. I love that WWE made that gimmick a shirt for Roman Reigns. That's very cool. So, Roman was like, Cesaro, don't even get me started on you. And then he said, I am not taking your challenge for the Universal Championship. And then him and Paul Heyman walked back, and we got a tag team match with Daniel Bryan and Cesaro versus Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. So I thought the opening segment was really good. Rollins cut a fine promo. Daniel Bryan cut a great promo, as did Roman Reigns. So they all cut great promos. Then we had a tag match, like I said, Bryan and Cesaro against Jey Uso and Seth Rollins. This was a fun tag team match, a very good tag team match for almost 20 minutes. This got 2 commercial breaks. So this was a long tag team match. But towards the end of the match, Rollins, I believe, gets taken out by Daniel Bryan with a suicide dive. And he's on the outside, and he's like, I'm done. I don't need to be a part of this. I'm Seth freaking Rollins. And McAfee was like, what's Rollins doing? He's walking out on his partner. You can't. It's like walking. That's like a football team walking out. That's like the quarterback walking out on a football team. So, by the way, another great commentary performance from Pat McAfee tonight. I'm really enjoying him on commentary this week. So, Bryan and Cesaro have Jey Uso one-on-one. Uso looks at what Rollins is doing. He goes back in the ring. Uso gets an uppercut from Cesaro. Tags in Bryan. Bryan hits the running knee on Jey Uso with them getting the ring. With them getting the win. So then, Bryan gets on the microphone. And he starts advocating for Cesaro that he should get the next shot for the Universal Championship. Roman Reigns, all he does, he is afraid of Cesaro. Let's look back at his Universal title reign, shall we? He said, before Jey Uso, you needed Jey Uso to help you beat Kevin Owens not once, but twice. You needed Paul Heyman to beat Kevin Owens at the Royal Rumble. You needed Edge to He needed Edge's help to beat me at Fastlane. You needed Jey Uso's help to beat Edge at WrestleMania. Which I really don't get that one because Roman Reigns won clean. Roman Reigns won that match at WrestleMania clean. So I really don't understand that one from Daniel Bryan. And then he says, I think you realize with Cesaro's talents and Cesaro's potential, you can't beat Cesaro one-on-one. So you're not going to take the challenge. And Cesaro starts swinging Jey Uso. Bryan says, Jey Uso's out here for you all the time. You're never out here for him. So let's see if you come out for him now. So Bryan tells Cesaro to swing him again. And Cesaro swings Jey Uso. And Roman Reigns doesn't come out. And that was the segment. So I absolutely loved that Bryan was basically an advocate for Cesaro as to why he should get the Universal title match. And I love how much Bryan put Cesaro on the microphone. This absolutely benefited Cesaro, and it set up for the last segment of the night where Paul Heyman got an interview with Caleb Braxton, and he said Roman Reigns would give an answer for his next challenge tonight. Later in the night, you will hear from Roman Reigns about who his next challenge will be. So this is what the entire show, it's basically got 1 hour of this, 15 minutes, because the first 40 minutes were all about Bryan, Cesaro, Uso, Reigns. Seth Rollins was in there as well, but that's what the first 40 minutes was. And then the last 15 minutes were Daniel Bryan, Cesaro, and Roman Reigns. So basically this entire show was about those 5 men. I guess you don't have to include Rollins, but half of the show was about Roman Reigns and who his next challenger will be. We will get to that at the end of the night, at the end of the review. The one thing I did not like on this show, Nia Jax versus Tamina. I don't know anybody that could sit on their couch and actually get invested in a Nia Jax and Tamina match. This was not good. Shayna Baszler accidentally got kicked in the face by Reginald, and she went to stalk Reginald. Nia Jax saw this. Tamina hit the slowest super kick I could ever imagine on Nia Jax. She then rolls her up, and she gets the victory over Nia Jax. So Tamina gets the win over Nia. Natalya beats Shayna Baszler last week. Honestly, I could see them doing, with the way next week's show is stacking up, I can see the WWE doing a women's tag title match next week on SmackDown. I can easily see that happening. So, besides that, this was not interesting at all. This was not a good match. And I don't care about those women's tag team titles, and I never will. I never will. And hopefully, with all the tension with Nia and Shayna going on, hopefully this has started to break up, because Shayna Baszler deserves much better than what she is given right now. Charlotte Flair being suspended for dental issues. She's going to get her face evaluated again. So what should happen is we'll probably get Asuka versus Rhea Ripley once again at WrestleMania Backlash. Charlotte will probably come back. Rhea Ripley should beat Charlotte. And at SummerSlam, the Raw Women's title match should be Shayna Baszler versus Rhea Ripley. So they have history, and the story writes itself, I think. Just to talk about a little Monday Night Raw, might mention it again in a couple weeks, but hopefully this is the start of the split between Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax. What happens with Nia Jax, I don't care. Shayna Baszler deserves much better than this. She needs to get away from Nia Jax. I don't care who they drop the titles to. Just get Baszler away from Nia Jax and build up Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's title match at SummerSlam. We had the Intercontinental Championship. Earlier in the day, it was announced that Apollo Crews would be defending the title in an open challenge. I was hoping for either Murphy or Shinsuke Nakamura. We did not get that. We got Kevin Owens, which I did not have an issue with. But if we're being honest, that should be saved for a summer feud for the Intercontinental title. Once Apollo is done with Big E, I would do That's the feud I would do for the IC title. I would do Kevin Owens versus Apollo Crews. You could do that between Money in the Bank and Extreme Rules, and then you could find someone else for Apollo Crews. But we had this match, Apollo Crews versus Kevin Owens. This was a really good Intercontinental title match. I was really involved in. I was really interested in this match. These guys have really good chemistry together. Apollo Crews had his new commander, Aziz. I don't know why. I don't know why we took the name Dabba-Kato away for Aziz. That just doesn't make sense to me. The name Dabba-Kato was completely fine, but whatever. This was a really good match. Owens, McAfee, I really enjoyed on commentary in this match, especially early on, where Owens was away from Aziz with Apollo Crews, and he's like, I know Kevin Owens can fly, but Kevin Owens should really be on the ground mat just to get away from Aziz as much as possible. So I really liked McAfee's insight in this match. Owens went to the top rope for a swanton. Apollo Crews kicked out. Apollo Crews hit a sit-out powerbomb before Owens hit one. Owens kicked out. Crews kicked out. Sami Zayn came on commentary in the middle of the match before commercial. So he was on commentary. Action spilled out to the outside as Owens was going for a frog splash inside the ring. Apollo rolled outside the ring, and Owens gave Apollo a frog splash with Apollo laying outside of the ring. So that must have hurt. I bet you that frog splash really hurt Apollo Crews. So back in the ring, Owens sets up for the stunner. He gets distracted by Aziz, who is standing on the ring apron. Apollo Crews rolls him up, and Apollo Crews retains the Intercontinental Championship. After the match, Owens hits a stunner on Crews, and Aziz takes offense to this. He gets a choke. He chokes out Kevin Owens, and he hits him with the Nigerian nail, a thumb right to the throat. So they walk away. After the match, Sami Zayn gets in the ring. He talks trash to Kevin Owens. He starts dancing, which is a meme now on social media. Sami Zayn is dancing, and that feud continues. So I really enjoyed this IC title match. I thought it was really good. Crews going over was the right decision, absolutely. And I would like to see these guys go for the Intercontinental have a match for the IC title again in the summer. They have great chemistry. They put on really good matches. And who is there to feud with Apollo Crews after he's done with Big E? And what does Kevin Owens do after he's done with Sami Zayn? You put them together. So that's what I think is going to happen. Oh boy. I cannot wait to talk about this. Alistair Black is back. He has been found. Vince McMahon and Bruce found Alistair Black. Thank goodness. Thank the Lord. Alistair Black is back. He's got a new gimmick. He is indeed the father. He's got a book. And he's reading the book, Chapter 1, The Dragon. He talks about people behind the screens watching. They're all monsters, and the fathers are monsters, and with their kids, they are forcing them to be even bigger monsters than they are. I don't know everything that he said, but Chapter 1 was basically about slaying dragons and people being monsters. So, Alistair Black is back. And it seems like his vignette, he was very heelish, calling everybody monsters and all that stuff. So he is back. I'm guessing he is going to be a heel. He is on SmackDown. I'm excited. I really hope this succeeds. I want him to succeed. I want him to thrive in this role. And more importantly, I want WWE to go all in on this guy. This is his last chance, in my opinion. You put him in a closet for months and months and months. You debuted him. You didn't do much. You turned him heel 6 months ago on Kevin Owens, which he came out in that feud as a loser, as he lost to KO twice. We haven't seen him since October, and now he's back. This is, in my opinion, his last chance. And you need to go all in on him. WWE needs to go all in on Aleister Black. Because if they do, this will be a huge success. And I want this to be a success. I don't want this to fail. Now, honestly, I don't think he's gonna wrestle anytime soon or something like that. But I would love to see him mix it up with Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't know how many times they fought on SmackDown, but I think that would be a very nice match for him. Big E, after Big E is done with Apollo Crews, you're not just going to thrust Big E into a Universal Championship match against Roman Reigns. You shouldn't do that. So maybe I'd like to see Big E mix it up with Aleister Black. And the name I mentioned, I forgot to tweet it, but the name I really want to see feud with Aleister Black the most is Daniel Bryan. And why do I say Daniel Bryan? Because I think Daniel Bryan and Aleister Black would kill it in the ring. And I think that DB would have absolutely no problems whatsoever putting over Aleister Black in a big time. I actually think that's a good match for SummerSlam. That is a really good match for WWE to have for SummerSlam. Daniel Bryan against Aleister Black. And have Black go over. That's what I would do. That's what I want to see. But it seems like, I'll save it for the end. We'll get to it. We'll get to it later. Right now, let's talk about Bayley and Bianca Belair. So, Kayla Braxton is backstage. She goes to interview the Dirty Dogs to talk about their the match next between the Mysterios and the Alpha Academy. They say, they don't really say much before the Street Profits come in. I don't really know why the Street Profits are confronting the champs when they lost. They lost their tag team title match last week, and they're coming in to confront the champs. I don't really know why, but they confront Rude and Ziggler. Then Bayley slides in between them. He says, hey, this is fun and all, but I gotta get to my business here. And she says she will challenge Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania Backlash, where it's a long time coming. She should thank me that she's even champion, because I elevated her. I got her to the level that she is when she fought me, and now I'm going to mop the floor with her. No help whatsoever. And I'm going to take her SmackDown Women's Championship. Then Montez Ford comes over, and he has Bianca Belair on the phone, and he's telling her what Bayley is saying about her. So they go to commercial break. Bianca confronts Bayley, and Bayley's like, look, I just wanted to say that you're a great athlete. I'm happy that you're the SmackDown Women's Champion, and I'm very happy that I get to mix it up in the ring with you for that championship at WrestleMania Backlash. And then Bayley walks away, and then Bianca's like, I did not expect to hear that from her. And then Bayley's like, wait, one more second, one more thing. And then she just bursts off laughing at everything that she said. So she's making Bianca a joke. So we have Bayley and Bianca for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania Backlash. Should be a great match. They have really good matches. The two matches they had were really good. Does it deserve to be on pay-per-view for a championship? Absolutely. But what did Bayley do to earn this match? She did absolutely nothing at all to earn this match whatsoever. And she was just basically thrusted into this match with Bianca Belair at WrestleMania Backlash. Now, I do like that they are letting Bayley challenge Bianca at the pay-per-view on May 16th. Why do I like that? Because it gets Bianca a good victory over one of the top females in the company in Bayley, and lets the feud between Bianca and Sasha breathe for a little bit before we get back to that again. Because I don't think WWE is done with Bianca and Sasha, especially after what Sasha did last week. So, we get this match. We get a short build for 3 weeks. Fine. And then Sasha will probably turn heel on Bianca. And we get right back to it with Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair for the SmackDown Women's Championship. So, we'll have to see what happens. Hey, I'm fine with a feud between Bayley and Bianca Belair. I like both of them, and they should have a great match at the pay-per-view. So, we're going to move on really quickly. We had the Mysterios, Rey and Dominic, against Chad Gable and Otis. This was a fun tag team match. I was actually interested in this match. Rey and Dominic got the win after a 619 to Gable. Dominic jumped over the top. Otis caught him, but Dominic reversed it and threw Otis over the announce table. So Rey hit a 619 on Gable. Frog Splash, and Rey Mysterio pins Chad Gable. I hope this is it for the Mysterios and Alpha Academy matches. I doubt it, but we see these matches every single week with these two tag teams. But this was probably their best match they had together. I enjoyed the match, and it gives momentum for Rey and Dominic. It seems like they are a threat to take the tag team titles away from Roode and Ziggler. So, we will have to see what happens with that. And finally, final segment on this show, we got Cesaro and Daniel Bryan. And Cesaro's like, all right, Roman, it's time. Come on now, are you going to answer the challenge or not? Are you going to accept my challenge for a Universal title match? Roman comes up. He comes out with Paul Heyman, Jey Uso. He immediately gets in Cesaro's face holding up the championship. He's like, who do you think you are? Who do you think you are talking to the tribal chief like that? You're not the Universal Champion. You're not the head of the table. I make the rules around here, not you. You listen to me. I lay the champion lays the challenges out. So for your challenge, I am going to say no, and it will always be no. So he declined the challenge from Cesaro. And then he says, I make the challenges around here. And then he looks at Daniel Bryan. He gets in the face of Bryan. And he says, I've never liked you. And I will always never like you. But I will give you one more shot for the Universal Championship. But when you lose. He didn't say if. He was about to say if. But he said when you lose. I don't want to see you around here. I don't want to walk past you. I don't want to hear your yes chants. I don't want to see you talk about Cesaro. I don't want to see you in the building ever again when you lose. And then Bryan walks up to Roman Reigns. Bryan's debating about it. Cesaro's like, you got to accept the challenge. And then Daniel Bryan's like, I accept. So, boom. Right there, we are getting Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship next week on SmackDown. And if Daniel Bryan loses, he's gone. This seems very predictable with the rumors that came out with Daniel Bryan yesterday, which I'm saving that for tomorrow's podcast, episode 6. Hopefully, if there's no computer, we were fine. We've been fine since Tuesday with the computer issues. So, if everything is fine, you guys will get episode 6 of the Big Fight Fuel podcast tomorrow. And that will be when I talk a lot about Daniel Bryan and what he said on an interview with BT Sport with Alex McCarthy. So that'll be all saved for tomorrow's podcast. But no doubt in my mind, Bryan is losing next week. Daniel Bryan is taking an extensive break to go be with Brie and Birdie. So, yeah, Roman Reigns is absolutely beating Bryan next week on SmackDown. No ifs, ands, or buts. And then I don't know how, but I still think Cesaro is going to challenge Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania Backlash. I don't know how we get to that, but I think it's going to happen. So, that's it. We also got Big E versus Apollo Crews in a rematch for the Intercontinental Championship next week on SmackDown after Big E attacked Apollo Crews backstage. So next week is looking like a mini pay-per-view on SmackDown, which I love. I have been advocating for this because we don't need pay-per-views like WrestleMania Backlash and Fastlane and TLC. You should make the Raw and SmackDown episodes feel important. I've been saying that for a very long time, and I'm glad they're doing it. They're making SmackDown next week feel like a mini pay-per-view. You can build around these two title matches, and you could build a solid card for next week's SmackDown. Because I think, next week's the NFL Draft. So, you can build around those two matches to have a solid card for next week's SmackDown. That way, people are like, you know what? I should check out SmackDown because they got a good show tonight. I should check out SmackDown over the NFL Draft. So, we'll see. I thought tonight's show was really good. I really enjoyed it. Really good show tonight. Thank you guys for joining me here on the Big Fight Fuel channel tonight. I really do appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're literally a touchdown away until 400 subscribers. For those of you who don't watch football, that is 7 subscribers away until 400 subscribers on the Big Fight Field channel. So 7 more subs until we get to 400. Comment down below your thoughts about tonight's episode of SmackDown. Hit that like button if you like what you heard from me in the review tonight. Follow me on Twitter at Colin_Joseph. And I will see you guys for tomorrow's podcast here on the Big Fight Field channel. We got the podcast tomorrow. I might or might not do a mock draft on Sunday for the NFL draft. I will say I have not done a football video since, I think, the Super Bowl. So we might do a mock draft Sunday. And Sunday night we're going to talk a little bit about Impact Rebellion. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 6 of the Big Fight Field podcast. Have a good night. Stay safe. And as always, stay classy.